Billy J, welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Is Billy J? What's your actual name, bro? Is it Bilal?
Bilal, yeah. My name is Bilal. Bilal Jamil Mansour.
Bilal Jamil. And your son's name is Jamil, right?
My son's name is Jamil. It's my father's name.
Ah, passed down.
Yeah, in our culture, we generally take our father's name as our middle name.
That is something I learned actually a couple of months ago, and I was trying to. Yeah, that was very interesting.
So that's where the J comes from. I get asked all the time. So yeah, it's my son's name too. Yeah,
awesome,
Jamil,
man.
Yeah,
man. Every story has a beginning, and our upbringing. There's our parents and a lot of people that play a huge part in who we are today, whether that be the good and the bad. What are some of those pivotal moments or memories that you have from your upbringing, whether that be from your parents or someone else, that you feel has, shaped the man that sits in front of us today?
I guess like my mother and father had a obviously big role to play in my life. I mean, they always raised us. So my parents came from a war-torn country. They fled and they came to Australia, so they came with nothing. I think my dad, when he arrived, he borrowed $100 from my uncle, and that's all he had with him.
Where'd they come from?
From Lebanon.
Lebanon, yeah.
Yeah, so back then it was just towards the end of the Civil War. I think my dad was 16 when he came here, very young, and came here with nothing. The suit my dad got married in was borrowed. So that's when I say it came here with nothing. And then yeah, man, just instilled the discipline, the hard work, the humbleness in me from day one, from when I was born. I was always taught that, be grateful, be humble, and if you want to achieve anything, you got to work for it. There's no shortcuts, which in today's world, I mean, everyone's looking for a shortcut. How to make a quick buck. But yeah, I guess the lessons my parents taught me, I guess from their experiences growing up in war, having nothing, coming here with nothing, and just building from the ground up. I feel like I kind of went on that journey with my parents, more so me than my younger siblings. So yeah, they just instilled that hard work, that discipline, that hunger to succeed. I'd say those are the biggest lessons I've learned from my parents,
And what were you like as a little fella? Were you a little shit? Or?
Oh, yeah, I was a cheeky fella, man. Yeah, cheeky, loud, annoying. We still got family videos that I watch every now and then from time to time, and I think to myself, dude, yeah, very cheeky, very loud. Even now, I get told I'm very loud. You got a loud voice. Put your voice down, man. You're so loud. Yeah. So
you sound like that as well?
My son, no, man. My son's a bit more reserved. My son's got a bit of my dad's personality. He's more reserved. He's more chill. He's more. He more analyzes things. He's not. I wouldn't say he's loud. My oldest daughter, is like me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she's a performer. She's very loud.
And going back to your upbringing, your parents immigrated here and come here with nothing, so they would have had to work their asses off to build what they built. What was your relationship like with them? Because I'm assuming they would be always out working and kind of left you and your siblings to your own devices. What was that like?
So my mother never really worked.
Okay.
So my mother, culturally, coming here, like my dad was the one out working, and my mum was the one looking after the house and raising the kids. Traditional. Yep. I had a very good relationship with my mum growing up, very close.
Mummy's boy?
Mummy's boy, yes.
Yep, same here.
Still are today, With my dad, I've always loved and respected my dad. We have a great relationship today. But growing up, I didn't really see him, to be honest with you. He'd go to work before I woke up. He'd come back home from work after I went to sleep. I'd see him on Sundays. That was pretty much it, on his day off. But yeah, my mother always instilled the respect in us. Like, just because your dad's not around, your dad's out there grinding, working his ass off to provide for you guys. No matter what, you respect your dad, So yeah, I mean, it could have easily gone the other way. Dad's not around. I've grown up with a fair few people who kind of went the other way. Oh, dad's never around, so I don't really care. But nah, I always had that respect for my dad. My mum always instilled that respect in us, to respect our dad, to show us what he's doing for us, So yeah, growing up, I think it wouldn't have been until I was about 13, 14 years old is when I really started spending time with my dad.
Yep.
when he started to not ease off work, but get more free time and all that sort of stuff from the foundations he had built. But yeah, man, didn't really spend time with my dad until I was a teen.
The thing with that though, I think that's very pivotal that he started to spend more time with you during your teens, because that's the period of your life where you could have gone down a different direction. Whereas before that, it really is like your mum's nurturing you. You're a little boy, whereas teenage, you're transitioning into a man. So for then your dad to step in and like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is the path to go down.
For sure.
Pivotal.
Look, my dad was easygoing. My dad's always been very realistic. He lives in the real world.
Yep.
Like he knows we're not perfect. You meet some people and their children are perfect and you can't say a word about them. Whereas my dad is always, he knew that once I turned into a teen and once I started going out and all that sort of stuff, that I was going to experiment with things and go out and party and club. And he was never really firm on don't touch this and don't touch that and don't do this. He was always, listen, I was your age once. I know what you're going to do. You can lie about it or you can tell me the truth. I'd prefer you tell me the truth so I know what you're doing. So if anything happens, I'm there to protect you. Which I really, thinking back at it now, it's probably the way to go. My dad built that friendship with me. It was never I'm proud to say that it was never a father-son relationship per se. It was more with friends. He trusted me, and because I was very open with him and let him know what I was doing, I never lied to him. I've never lied to him, to be honest with you. I guess that's where the respect stems from. We have a friendship more than, I'm scared to talk to my dad, or
it's that trust, especially when
trust,
you are experimenting and stuff may go wrong. You can always go back to your dad and hey, I stuffed up here, and he's like, he can help you through that.
And that's what he was essentially.
Was he a hard man to talk to, like especially
Arab
background? Like they're very emotionally kind of like.
He still is. He still is. Yeah. Nah. My dad doesn't show many emotions. My grandfather passed away back in April this year, so a couple of months ago. And even till now, I haven't seen my dad show any emotion. I know he grieves and shows emotion when he's alone. I know he's that type of person.
Yeah.
But he's always been like a rock. He's always been like strong, doesn't show much emotion. Unless you talk to him and bring something up, he won't really get involved, or he's not your typical Arab father.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas a lot of my cousins and friends that I've grown up with, their dads are very like on top of them and strict and I want to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. And my dad's cool, man. If you need my help, let me know. I'm here for you. Otherwise, make your own path, man. Go for it.
Nah, I respect that. So I actually have Lebanese background myself, right? And my dad...
You wouldn't pick it?
No, I'm more Aussie than anything. I just say I'm Aussie. The only thing is the nose, bro. But my dad's very much shut off himself. He doesn't show many emotions unless he's like angry. But other than that, it's hard to have a deep conversation with that man. But I respect what he did for our family and going out there and work. Like he kind of led by example in that realm.
Yep.
So it's having that respect there. It is, for me, I felt it was hard growing up not having that strong relationship with my dad, because I still don't have a strong relationship. For you, have you found it hard at any periods building a relationship with him? Yeah,
look, you go through your phases. We're all human. My dad's a human, I'm a human. We go through our phases. We go through little periods in our lives where we drift a bit, then we come back together. And more so when I was younger, I feel it was a bit harder to build that relationship because my dad wasn't around. But now it's I'm an adult. I've got 3 kids. He loves my kids to death. I named my son after him. So now it's a bit easier. But even now we have our moments, man. We have our moments. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, especially because we're both in business. Sometimes he doesn't agree with the moves I make. Sometimes I don't agree with the moves he makes.
What does he do for business?
He owns a hire car company.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's been in that for about 15 years. Even when I first said to him I'm going into hair, he wasn't thrilled.
Because what direction did he want you to go in?
He wanted me to wear a suit and tie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He wanted me to be a lawyer, a banker, or suit and tie. Because my dad obviously growing up, he never did clean work
Yeah.
up until he started that company about 15, 16 years ago. He went from job to job trying to make ends meet. So he didn't want me to go through what he went through. And obviously, they only know what they know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, you're in Australia, you need to go to university, you need to get a degree, you need to wear a suit and tie, then you're set. You know, get to your 100K a year and you're sweet. You're very limited, but it's not their fault.
They have the best interests at heart.
They
but
only
don't
know what they
understand.
know. It's not their fault, you know. So I did that. I did everything he asked of me. I went to university, got myself a business and commerce degree. I got into sales first, then moved into banking, and got to a point where I just realized I wasn't happy. That's not what I want to do. And that's when I had that conversation with my dad, and I said, look, I'm glad you're happy, but I think it's time for me to move in my own direction and do what I want to do. Oh, what do you want to do? I want to do hair. What the fuck, you want to do hair? You wear a suit and tie, you want to go cut hair for a living? Because there was that stigma around it 10 years ago, you know? Like, you only got into hair if you didn't know what you're doing with your life. Whereas now, it's really cool. Everyone wants to be a barber or a hairdresser now because of social media. And, yeah, for the first 3 years, I'd say, my dad, when people ask my dad, what does your son do? He would still refer back to banking.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's a banker.
Now what does he say?
Oh, now he's a hairdresser.
Yeah.
He's a barber.
You proud of it?
Yeah, he's proud of it. Yeah, yeah. There was a moment I feel where it flipped for me, where he actually realized, okay, no, this is legit. I think it was when I opened up my 4th store. That's when I remember we're standing in front of the store on open day, and I could see it in him, like, okay, no, this guy's legit. He knows what he's doing. Okay, he's a barber.
Yeah,
He's not a banker. So, yeah.
What was that feeling within yourself when he kind of accepted what you...
Oh, it was
doing?
awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I mean, let's be real. Everything we do, we want our parents to be proud of us, you know? We can go on and say, oh, you know, it's our life and we don't care what anyone thinks. But, you know, we want to make our parents proud. Deep down, everybody wants to make their parents proud. So it was a good moment, man. It was a good feeling. It was a proud moment for me. You know, standing there with my dad in front of shop number 4, and I could see it in him, like, okay, nah, I'm proud of this guy. He's actually done it. So, yeah.
Talk to me about that period of time where you were in uni, you going for that degree, and you were making him proud, but not in the way that you wanted it, right? You were very unhappy, unfulfilled. What's your mindset like at that time, and why did you keep pushing through? Was it just to make him proud?
I wouldn't say I was unhappy or unfulfilled. I think I convinced myself I was happy.
Yeah, okay.
I was probably the first boy in our extended family that actually gone to university. I got a bunch of cousins that I've grown up with that are all my age. None of them went to university. They're all, not to say they're not successful now, but they took other routes, you know, trades or started businesses. And back then, like if I had said to my dad, I want to be an electrician, same sort of thing, you know, oh, no, you got to go to university. So they were very hell-bent on me going to university. So I wouldn't say I was unhappy. I think I can convince myself that this is what I want to do. It wasn't until afterwards when I finished university and actually got into the workforce that I realized, no, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I can't sit behind a desk, man. I can't, you know, I'm always on the go. Like yeah. So that's when I realized. And that's when I started to become unhappy and start to question, what am I doing with my life, you know? I would have been 23 at the time, but in my head I was old, you know. So if I don't do something now, I'm gonna run out of time. It's crazy because I'm 34 now and I still feel like I've got I got another 50 years to go. So
we're still young.
We're still young, yeah. But back then, it's crazy how when you're in your 20s you feel old, but once you get to your 30s, you're like, okay, now I still got time.
Like I'm 27, so I'm not quite 30 yet. But yeah, there's so much time.
So much time, man.
And you can achieve so much in such a short amount of time too.
Man, 1 year can change your life. 1 year, and that's what it was for me. 1 year, you know, when I got it, when I really started taking hairdressing seriously. But you can really flip everything around in a short period of time if you put your mind to it. I guess. Was
there a darkest day for you where you knew like you needed to make a change?
Yeah, I wouldn't say a dark day. It was more so things were getting repetitive. I got to a point where I was a branch manager of Bank West back in Bankstown. So I was running that branch. So I had a team of about 10 people below me, but then I had my team above me, my regional manager, my state managers, who I would report to. And I think it was like a light bulb moment where when I found out what the state manager was earning, after about 20 years in the job, I thought to myself, hell no. Are you telling me I got to do this for another 15 years, 20 years to get to 200K a year? And that's like, and in that world, that's awesome. You've made it. You're successful. And I started to think to myself, what the fuck is 200K a year for 20 years work?
It's nothing these days.
Back then it was all right, but these days it's nothing. You earn 200K a year, you can barely get by.
And you're working your ass off.
And you're working your ass off. So it was that moment. That's when it flipped. I was like, no, I can't do this. And start to do research. And the only way to really make money is to own a business or run a business or something along those lines. And I was always into hair. It's what I really wanted to do when I left school.
Why hair though?
Just to put it frankly, it was cool.
Yeah, okay.
It was cool. I used to go to the barber shop to get my hair cut every week, and I loved the vibe. I loved the culture. I loved the camaraderie between the boys.
Is it an Arab thing? Because I feel like every barbershop is run by Arabs.
Look, being an Arab, I think we're really good at it.
Yeah, okay.
Just naturally, we're good at it because generally we're stylish people. We're into looks and fashion and how we present ourselves, and so I think we're naturally good at it. I wouldn't say it's an Arab thing. I think we're just naturally good at it, and a lot of us kind of fell into it.
Yep.
And then as the older boys, when I was growing up, they started to fall into it. They kind of paved the way for my generation, and now we're paving the way for the next generation. But yeah, you'd go to the store, you'd see that camaraderie, and I'd be like, wow, this is cool. I'd like to work in a place like this. It's fun. Because I'd see the owners of the stores and they're having fun and they're earning money. They were probably earning more than what I was earning, but they're enjoying it. It didn't really feel like a job, and that's kind of what always made me want to go down that path. So once I got to that point of I'm not doing banking anymore, I went straight back to hairdressing, man. I started from square one.
And how old were you at that age?
When I started hairdressing again, I was 20. I was 24. 24, man. I wasn't young. Yeah, 24
and
years old.
You were about to get married, right?
I was about to get married. Yeah, I was engaged. The wedding was about 3 months away or 2 months away. Quit my job.
How do you come to the conclusion in your head, because safe paying job, right?
Yeah.
Many people will stay in that for the rest of their life.
Of course.
Why? I know you were unfulfilled in the cap of how much you could earn, but what was the thing to be like, all right, I'm taking this leap of faith?
I knew that if I got married, went on my honeymoon and came back and all of a sudden I have this responsibility because we had a mortgage and everything, and I would never leave the safety of that job. You come back and you're married, now you have responsibility, you have bills to pay, you want to have kids, etc. You're never going to be able to, I felt anyway, I'll never be able to get out of the safety. So I had to take that jump before. So I had to come back with that fear of oh shit, I got to do something.
In a way, burning the boats, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's what it was. I had to take that jump. I knew if I came back and I had a safe job lined up, then I never really would have done it. I'd probably be a banker now. I'd probably be an area manager earning 150K a year or
living the life, eh?
Miserable and, convince myself that this is the life,
What piece of advice would you give to someone listening right now, right? They're working a job that they're not happy with. They have a passion or a hobby that they want to dive into, whether that's barber or whatever it is. What would you tell them around, taking that leap of faith? Because they may have a wife or kids.
Yep.
But as you said, if you stay in your comfort zone, if you stay in that safe job, you're never going to go out there and achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
If you're young and you're not married with that responsibility, then you're crazy if you're not taking that jump. Take the jump, take the risk, do it. Obviously within reason. Do your your due diligence, and research and take and learn from the people around you that have done it. But take that step, man. Do it. You know, you'll regret it. You'll definitely regret it. If you have the kids and the wife and the responsibility, then, you know, start it up on the side. You know, everyone talks about side hustles in today's world, and side hustles are a real thing, you know. Have that safety of bringing in the income while you're starting this other business up. It's going to be hard. You're going to be working at nights, obviously. You're going to probably not see your kids as often at the start. But, I mean, what's 1 or 2 years for the rest of your life? You know? So my advice is just do it. You know? Get out there, give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to fail? So what?
You'll learn from it.
You learn. Nothing's a failure. I've failed many times, but I never look at it as a failure. Every failure I've made along the way has paved the way for the next door that was open, you know? So just get out there and back yourself and give it a red hot crack.
That's it. It really does come down to having that self-belief in yourself. Like for me right now, I'm working a job that I don't really like. I'm not passionate about. So I do air conditioning during the day. And I've built this up on the side, working at nights, on weekends. And it's gotten me to a point now where I can drop Friday off from work. And I'm just dropping one day at a time. And the goal is within the next 6 to 12 months to be doing this on full time. You can do it.
You can do it. But if you didn't back yourself and take that step, you'd be doing air conditioning. Not to say that you can't build a great career in air conditioning, but you're not, as you said, you're not passionate about it. It's not what you want to do. And we got a very short amount of time on this earth, you know. Making money is one thing, but making money and being happy is another, you know. I know so many people that are in jobs and they're really well off. They make a lot of money, but they're not happy, man. You know, they don't wake up on Monday morning excited to get out of bed. You know, it hits 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and that's when the depression kicks in.
Yeah.
You know, that's the worst way to live, man. It's the worst way to live.
I was having this conversation on another podcast, and he said this really beautifully. He said, a lot of people are financially rich, but spiritually bankrupt.
That's a good one. I like that.
And that really hit me as like, yeah, there is a lot of people out there that are seen as successful in the material world, yet they go home and they're alone or they hate their lives because spiritually they are bankrupt.
Yeah. And you know, that doesn't just affect you. You know, if you have a family, it starts to affect your wife, it starts to affect your children, it starts to affect your relationships. You know, if you're unhappy with yourself, it's really hard to be a happy person in general. You know, so you gotta do things that make you happy, man. You gotta find a passion, you know, and give it a crack, definitely.
What's your relationship with money and material things?
If you asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said to you, you know, I want it all.
Yep.
You know, I want the watches and the shoes and the cars and the nice big house. But as you get older, man, you start to realize that that's not it, you know. I'd rather use the money to set up my kids.
I was going to say, did having kids change that mindset?
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. Everything I do is for my kids now. You know, I'd rather build to give them something. You know, I just can't justify paying $2,000 for a pair of shoes. You know, I can, but I don't justify it. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. That $2,000 can be invested into something that's going to make you more money, or it's going to set your kids up, or you know. Look, I do think. Obviously, I've got a couple of watches, but for me, the watches were more of an investment.
Yeah.
You know, so if I buy I look for the specific watch that's going to go up in value, but I can wear it at the same time, so I get use out of it. But if I ever need the money, it's on my wrist.
Yeah.
If shit hits the fan, it's on my wrist. You know what I mean? So they're investments. But materialistic shit like clothes and the Louis Vuitton, the Gucci's, and it's not me.
Nah. You can treat yourself.
There's nothing wrong with treating yourself. Like, I mean, me and my wife will get each other gifts on our birthday or anniversary, but to go out there and buy a $400 t-shirt so I can go to dinner with the boys. Yeah. That's crazy, man. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't believe in that. But yeah, I guess that just comes with maturing. You know, there's a lot of my staff now, a lot of my team, you know, they're going through that phase. You know, they're young 20s and they want to wear the brands and they want to look cool. And everyone's gonna go through it, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
when you have kids, it really puts it in perspective. Like they're happy with just playing with a cardboard box, and it's like material things don't matter. At the
Like
end of the
when
day.
I first started making money, I'll be honest. When I first started making money, I was 26, I'd say. The first thing I did was go out and buy 3 pairs of shoes, 2 pairs of LVs and a pair of Gucci's, because everyone around me had already made money and they were doing it, and we were young in our 20s. And I always said, once I'm able to make a bit of money, I'm going to do that.
And it feels good. It's like that
felt
dopamine
good.
hit,
I went
right?
out and I bought shoes for me and my wife and all this sort of stuff. And then I wore them. And like a month later, they're all scuffed up. And I said, what the fuck? Like, I paid $2,000 for these.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I'd rather go buy a pair of J's, man, for $160 and they look good and you're good to go.
On your on being a father and running a business as well. I mean, you mentioned before in the beginning there's a lot of sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
Not being around, spending a lot of time with your kids. What was that period like for you? Because I'm currently going through that now where I am building the business, and a big thing for me, and I only have one, but I want to be as present as possible in my daughter's life. How did you go around building your business but still being present with your kids and your partner?
Look, at the start, it was very hard. At the start, it was 7 days a week, Thursday nights. I missed out on the weekends. Luckily, though, when I first started out, my kids were young. My eldest daughter would have been, 6 months old at the time. And then we had my second daughter. So I'd say up until they were about 3, I didn't spend much time with them. It just the business required me to be there, and my wife understood and she was very supportive. And I just had to just put in the back of my head that they're not going to remember these years, when they're 2 and 3, realistically, But once they hit the ages of 5, 6, 4, when they're aware, you want to be around. So if I don't do it now, then I'm not going to be around when they need me around, And, my wife was my support, my rock. So she supported me and, you go off and do what you have to do. And, I'm here with the kids, don't worry. They're going to be fine. But for me personally, it was really hard, because Sundays would come along and the whole family would be together. My wife would be with my kids at my parents' house. They're having a barbecue or whatever. And I'm at work, So, but I just had to tell myself, get through these next 2 or 3 years, and if you build the foundations right, then you're going to get to spend time with your kids. For me, it was always, I'll do it now, so by the time they start school, I'm able to drop them off at school.
Yeah.
I'm able to pick them up if I want to pick them up, I think that's important. But when they're, 2, 3 years old and they're still playing with cardboard boxes, it's all right to not be around as much.
Do you have any regrets? So, because as you said, like, they don't remember it, but you do. Like you have those memories within yourself that you've created with them. Do you have any regrets for missing out on those things?
Look, I wouldn't say I have regrets, man. I feel like it allowed me to build the foundations.
Or do you wish you would have maybe gone about it a different way?
Man, I wish I would have started earlier.
Yeah.
So by the time they came along, I didn't have to be absent.
But hindsight's a beautiful thing, right?
But hindsight's a beautiful thing, But yeah, look, I'm happy with how things turn. If I would go back, unless apart from starting earlier, there's not much I would have changed. I needed to take the losses. I needed to learn. I needed to be there. 7 days a week. Otherwise, you can't build a business if you're not there. At the start, especially, you can't. I see it time and time again. People start businesses within a month. They've hired a manager. Or they have staff and they're just in and out because they've created this mindset that, I'm in charge. I own the business, so that gives me free time, which is bullshit. When you start a business, you actually lose time. So, no, you have to be there, man. You have to. I told myself from the start, if I do it now, by the time they're in school and they're aware, then it'll be a lot easier then. And,
You're at that point now.
We're at that point now. If I want to pick up my daughters from school, I pick them up. If I want to drop them off, I drop them off. I take them to jiu-jitsu, for example.
Yep.
I'm there for the extracurricular. Not many dads are. Unless it's a soccer game on the weekend, it's really hard to be there. So I'm grateful that I'm in that position, I never take it for granted though. You know, I never take it for granted. Like each and every time I pick my daughter up from school, for me it's like a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, so I never take it for granted.
That short-term sacrifice for the long-term happiness.
Definitely, yeah.
What's it like being a dad, especially to 3 little ones?
What's it like being a dad?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best, man.
Yeah.
You're a father, you know, it's the best. There's nothing, unless you have kids, it's really hard to explain. You know, people used to say to me all the time, oh, your life's going to change when you have kids. And I used to think, it will change. Oh, it's going to be busier. but until you have kids.
Especially a girl.
Especially girls, girls.
And
my girls
that's
are
a
everything.
whole new level of love,
Oh,
man.
yeah. My girls are everything to me, man. Like, I love my girls. You know, like, I'll die for my girls. You know, everyone says it.
Yeah.
But we don't really do it. You know, like, it's the best thing ever, man. Like, I remember, I cried when my first daughter was born. You know, when I held her for the first time, it was like this wave just came over me. It was like a shock. It was like, holy crap, you know.
I helped create this.
This is my daughter, you know, like I'm going to protect this with everything I have. You know, everything I do now is for her, you know. And I still remember my mum's reaction, you know, because obviously my sisters don't have kids yet. And I still remember my mum's reaction when she first met my daughter, you know, just the happiness and the excitement. And she cried. And
what was your dad like?
oh, my dad was over the moon, man.
Yeah.
My dad was over the moon. Yeah. My dad more so, he wanted the boy. He wanted the grandson. He loves my daughters, but he wanted the grandson.
Yeah.
So when my son was born, that changed his life, you know. So they're really close now, my son and my daughter, my son and my father.
You feel like he was totally different with your kids to how he was with you?
Oh, yeah. He says it now. He says it all the time. He goes, I wish I was around. He says it now. He said to me, like, I didn't have this with you growing up, you know? So this is why he loves it now, because my dad's at a point now where if he wants to work, he works. If he doesn't want to work, he doesn't work. You know, he's at that point now. But he worked really hard to get there, sacrificed a lot. As I said to you at the start, he was never around, which is why now he loves it. You know, he loves my son. You know, he can't wait till Jimmy's out of nappies, because my dad doesn't want to change nappies at his age. He can't wait till Jimmy's out of nappies, and then, you know, he's going to take him on the road with him and take him to work and do everything with him that he didn't get to do with me.
Yeah.
And I love that. You know, I love that.
I think it's important for them to have that strong bond.
Yeah, for sure.
Because not many children get that opportunity to have a strong bond with their grandparents, whether they've passed or there's not a good relationship.
I didn't. I mean, my mum's parents, my grandparents, they were overseas. I think I met them 3 times. Not to say I didn't love them. You know, I had a really good relationship with them because we'd speak over the phone and stuff. But I didn't have a relationship, you know, like my kids have with my parents or my in-laws, for example. My dad's parents, they were, by the time I was born, they were old, man. You know, they were already like in their 70s, well into their 70s. Yeah. You know, like when my grandfather passed away in April, he was 105 years old.
Really?
Yeah, so he lived a long life. So I never really got to build that strong connection with them either. So for me, like growing up, I'd watch movies and TV, and I'd see like, or even the people I was growing up with, you know, they're all close with their grandparents. And I never really understood it. You know, for me, my grandparents were my grandparents. We'd visit them on a Sunday. We'd do the rounds, and that was it. But now I understand it. You know, I see my parents with my kids. I see my in-laws with my kids, and I understand it. You know, like that's what it's about, man. Like, yeah, it's amazing. It's true what they say, man. Like, you end up loving my mum and dad say it all the time. You end up loving your grandkids more than your own kids. You know,
they call you, and it's like you're not calling me. You're calling to talk to me,
right? Like prior to having kids, that those first 2 or 3 years when we were married, my dad never came over. You know what I mean? But now that I have kids, are you home? Are the kids awake? I'm in the area. I'm coming past.
My parents are always like FaceTiming or something.
There you go. You know, so
here you go. Yeah. No, it's beautiful. And on that, we often speak about like the lessons that we want to instill into our own children. But I'm always curious, what are some of the lessons your children have taught you?
Taught me?
Yeah.
Oh man, they really bring you, you know, bring you back down to reality, man. They believe it or not, they teach me to be humble. You know what I mean? They teach me to be grateful and humble, and they remind me of how precious life is and how how important time is, you know, because we lose sight of that sometimes. You know, we think we're going to live forever, or we think we're going to be here till we're 100, like my grandfather was 100, you know. But realistically, let's be real, man. Like, we don't know when our time's up.
That's it.
You know, could be today, could be 10 years from now. So I guess they really teach me to live in the moment as much as possible. Just be grateful, man. Grateful that we're here. Grateful that we have each other. Grateful that we have kids that love us, and grateful that we have kids that we can love. Yeah, I guess they're the biggest lessons.
And on being present, how do you come back into the present, especially like you're so focused on business?
Mm-hmm.
How do you pull away from that? Because a lot of business owners, they go into business to create that freedom for their family and to spend more time with their kids, but they often get sucked into it and don't come back out. How did you come back out?
I guess I told myself from the start, you know, that I'm going to put in the hard work now and to get to a point where I can pull back, you know. But that was the goal for me. So that was I always brought myself back to that goal, that vision, you know. Like I'm trying to become successful, not for the materialistic bullshit or the money, or for me, money buys time. So for me, that was always my goal. So I need to work my ass off to get to a point where I have the time, and then I can pull back. But yeah, it was hard though, because like when do you decide is the right time to pull back? So I think for COVID really showed me that it's time to pull back. You know, the lockdown.
Yeah.
Up until the 21 lockdown, because in 2020 we were still open. They had deemed barbershops and hairdressers to be essential. Let's not even get into that.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. That
but
period
in
of time.
2021, everything was locked down. So there was a 6-month period, so June till pretty much the end of the year, where I was at home with my kids because they were off school and daycare and whatnot. And was off and we were at home. And I started to, this is what I've been missing out on. You know, I felt like I didn't spend much time with them those first 3 years. And then I got to spend 6 months with them. And then when things opened up and it was time to go back to work, nah, man, like, I want to spend time with my kids. So that's when you had to start putting in the processes and procedures to kind of be able to pull back. I'm still at work. I'm still working. I'm non-stop. I'm 7 days a week still. But now I'm able to pull back. You know, like I for example, I get home, but I put the phone down, you know, until they go to bed. You know, once they go to bed, I'll respond to a few emails, a few texts, a few calls, whatever. But then I put it down again and spend a bit of time with my, you know, I'm alone or with my wife.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're speaking about the kids, but what about the relationship with your wife?
Yeah. Like, and so we're very big on routine.
Yep.
We're very big on routine, even in school holidays. We're very big on, they wake up at a certain time, they eat dinner at a certain time, they go to sleep at a certain time, they do the extracurricular. More so because we feel like kids need a routine. Mm-hmm. They thrive when they're in a routine. So we've always had like a 7 p.m. bedtime, 7:30 p.m. bedtime, you know, even in daylight saving time when the sun's still out, they go to bed at 7:30, you know, but they wake up at 5:30, 6. So by the time it hits, so then now they're in that routine where even if it's still sun outside, hits 7:30, they're ready to go to sleep. They want to go to sleep, you know. So because we built that routine, it allows me and my wife to have the time once they go to sleep, right? So they'll go to sleep. I'll respond to a few emails, maybe have a half an hour of alone time. Both of us, we catch up on whatever we have to catch up, and then we just chill. You know, we'll conversate. We'll watch a TV series on Netflix. I know people say, "Oh, you can't be watching Netflix if you want to be successful." That's bullshit, man. Like, do what you want to do in your downtime. You know, we'll watch a show. We'll watch a movie. You know, Saturday nights are very sacred for us. It has been for years. Obviously, after we had kids, we don't really go out for dinner anymore because our kids are still young, and I don't, you know, for me, I'd rather be at home with them. Mm-hmm. But Saturday night is still now is very sacred for me and my wife. You know, they go to bed, I go out, I grab some takeaway, some dinner, we come home, she's got a movie ready, we sit down together. It's our in-home date night. Yeah, okay. You know, and we don't change it for anything. You know, Saturday's our date night. Don't invite me anywhere on a Saturday. I'm not coming. You know,
so that's important. That's your secret, eh?
Yeah,
to keep that that strong relationship, especially with everything going on in your life. And I know there was a period where mentally you weren't in the best shape and you struggled a lot with anxiety.
Yeah.
What was that period like, and how did that take a toll not only on yourself but your relationship?
So that period probably would have kicked in. So I had opened up my first business, my first barbershop. I thought I knew everything at the time.
As we do.
As we all do. Made a lot of mistakes. And the business just didn't kick off. We were married. My wife had just fallen pregnant, so we knew we had a kid on the way. Business wasn't doing well.
A lot of pressure as a man.
A lot of pressure as a man. And I just fell into this. So I remember I was under a lot of pressure. Financially, we're not making any money. We have a mortgage. We're pretty much surviving off my wife's salary because she was working at the time. And we have a baby on the way. And I know she's going to be out of work now for the next 2 years or whatever, 3 years, whatever it was going to be at the time. We didn't know we were going to have 3 kids back to back. Who knows? So the pressure was starting to mount, you know. I had maxed out my credit card just to pay the mortgage, essentially, you know. So I was in a really bad place. And I remember I was mid-haircut one day. I was cutting for a friend of mine, and all of a sudden, look, I knew about anxiety. I knew about panic attacks because my dad went through it. I witnessed my dad going through it when I was younger and when he was kind of transitioning and trying to set us up and all that sort of stuff. But until you kind of experience it, it's really hard to grasp or understand it. So I was mid-haircut. I was cutting for a friend of mine at the time. And all of a sudden, you know, I started to get lightheaded. My chest started tightening up and hurting. I started to get the tingles. I started to get dizzy. I thought I was having a heart attack. My friend that was in the chair thought I was having a heart attack, you know, just out of the blue, you know. He called the ambulance. The ambulance came down. They checked my blood pressure. My blood pressure was like 175. It was through the roof. I said, mate, you got to come with us. Otherwise, you're risking something happening to you. Get to the hospital. They did all the checks, all the scans, everything. There was nothing wrong with me physically. They said to me, mate, it looks like you had a panic attack. A panic attack? What the fuck's a panic attack? What do you mean I had a panic attack? You know, I've never thought, I was an anxious type of person or, you know. And that kind of triggered the next 3 years, I'd say.
Oh, so you struggled for 3 years with it? I
mean, I still struggle with it today, but I'm at a point now where I kind of understand it and I can control it and I can deal with it.
How do you control it?
Plain and simple. You haven't died yet, mate. You're not going to die if you have another panic attack. It's as simple as that. Yeah, so okay. I had the anxiety I had was more so I had a fear of death, you know, because I had the panic attack where I thought I was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
So that triggered.
So every time that feeling came out, you thought you were
going to die. You know, I thought I was going to die. So I spent the next 3 years in a constant panic, you know. It never went away. So I'd wake up and I'd have that lump in my throat, the tight chest, the breathing. I did every test under the sun. Went to a cardiologist, got my lungs checked, brain scans, everything. I thought there was something wrong with me, you know, and I wanted to prove to everyone there was something wrong with me because it's not normal to feel like this. That's what I was telling myself. But there was nothing wrong with me physically. So I pretty much lived in a state of panic for the next 3 years, multiple panic attacks. But it was in that time is when I started to take the steps to where I am now. But yeah, for that first year, 18 months, it was bad, man.
What kind of man were you during that period? Because you wouldn't have been turning up as your best self for your kids and your wife.
As bad as it is to say in today's world, I probably think I wasn't a man. You know, like how can I be the provider or be the rock for my family when, you know, I can't even sit in a room by myself. I was scared to be alone. You know, I didn't want to get back to work because obviously I had just started the business. I was a year in. I was still working alone. I was too scared to be alone. You know, I was too scared to sit alone. Or I started getting my younger sister to come to work with me. You know, she was still young and studying, and, you know, on your days off, come sit in the store with me. My wife at the time, she was pregnant, and I'd get her to come and sit in the store with me because I just couldn't be alone, man. I thought if I'm alone and something happens to me, they're not going to find me. You know, by the time they find me, it'll be too late. That's how dark it was getting in my head. Yeah, it was a tough period, man. It was a tough year and a half. That first initial 18 months. It got to a point where, as I said earlier, like unless you're going through it, it's really hard to grasp it or understand it.
Yeah.
So my mates, my wife, everyone around me was like, "Oh, it's all in your head, man. It's all in your head." I don't blame them. They don't understand it. You know, they don't know what I'm feeling. You need to get over it. It's in your head. It's in your head. That doesn't make it better.
No.
You know, it makes me feel like a freak.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's in my head. If I could control it, I'd control it. I feel like it got to a point where everyone. I don't know if it was my anxiety, but I felt like everyone got sick of me. You know, even my doctor, I felt like started to get sick of me because I started seeing him every week. Essentially, just check me, man. There's something wrong with me. Check me. There's something wrong with me. And he was trying to get me on the pills, SSRIs and all that sort of stuff. I refused, you know. But he got to a point where my wife tried to convince me to get on them. That's how bad he got, you know. And she just wanted me to get better. You know, she just wanted me to get better. And she thought, okay, well, these will help. You know, everyone around us, not around us, but everyone that's dealt with anxiety or depression usually jump on these. Maybe you should give it a go, you know, see how you go. And I was like, no, I'm not taking medication, man. I'm not doing it. No, then she said, well, we have to do something. You know, we have to do something. Otherwise, we're going to be in this rut forever. And that's when I decided to start seeing a psychologist. I think I went through 3 psychologists before I found myself, who's still my psychologist today.
Okay.
And he really helped me open up and change my life, man. He helped me change my life. But yeah, man, it was tough. It was tough I'd say that first 18 months to 2 years to 3 years was really tough, man.
Was there ever a darker day where you're like, this is just all too much and I can't deal with this anymore? Did it get that deep?
Look, it never got that deep.
Yeah.
But I did start to question my existence. Like, I'd ask God, you know, like, what am I doing? You know, why am I going? Why are you putting me through this? You know what I mean? I had strong faith in religion, obviously, most of my life, but we're human at the end of the day. You know, so I started to question, like, why am I being put through this? You know, what did I do to deserve this? You know, you start to feel sorry for yourself and start to, you know, feel like a victim and like, why me? You know, but you can't help yourself if you got that mentality. You know, why me? You know, it did get to points where like I didn't want to go out, didn't want to speak to people, I didn't want to go to any events. I just couldn't. You know, I couldn't be like I look back at photos now where we were at weddings or events that I had to go to, and I'm smiling in these photos. But I know, thinking back, that at the time of taking that photo, I thought I was having a heart attack, and I thought I was gonna die. You know, I thought like that smile was bullshit. You know, but the people around me didn't know. I'm smiling in a photo. You know, they thought, he's all right today. But I was never all right. It was daily. From the minute I woke up to the minute I went to sleep, I was in a constant state of fear, anxiety, and panic. You know, really hard to navigate. So yeah, man. Yeah, I got to a point where I just didn't want to socialize anymore. I didn't want to go out. Didn't want to do anything. I just felt like I couldn't. You got that bad, even to the point where my wife started to get fed up. As much as she's my rock, but I mean, we're newly married. We're 2 years into our marriage. You know, these are the times we're supposed to be happy and having fun and going out and enjoying our lives, but we didn't. You know, I just couldn't.
When you decided to seek help from a psychologist, what came up? How did he help you through?
So the first couple I felt didn't really help me. They made me worse. The first couple of psychologists were all about like, you know, breathing techniques and
you don't do
like,
any of that?
Man, I'm breathing. You know, I'm breathing, but this isn't helping me. You know, by the time I found the psychologist I have now, he really, maybe it's because he was from our community. He was another Muslim brother. And he kind of understood culturally my upbringing and what my parents had gone through and all the trauma that you go through as as I don't want to say trauma. I'm not a victim here, but all the stresses you go through as watching your family make ends meet growing up, and all that sort of stuff. So he kind of understood just the background of it all, and he was able to really tap in. Let's talk about your past, man. Let's talk about your upbringing. Let's talk about your childhood. Did you have moments where you felt like this, or did you have? And I started to think, oh shit, I did. This has been pretty much my whole life. Yeah. I've always been an anxious person. I didn't even realize. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Where do you feel like it stemmed from? Did that come up?
I feel like it's hereditary.
Okay.
Because anxiety and depression can be hereditary. Mm-hmm. My dad went through it. My uncles have all gone through it. So I feel like it's a hereditary thing. But I never thought it would happen to me because it hasn't really happened to a lot of my cousins or the people around me. But I think, but once he started to tap into my childhood and little scenario, he'd asked me to bring up little scenarios and things from when I was younger and when I was a teen, and I started to realize, holy shit, man, I've pretty much been an anxious person my whole life. I don't like change. If things don't go the way they're supposed to go, I start to panic and I get the shits, and I never knew that about me. Because unless someone's in your face telling you, you don't really know. And then that kind of led into how many panic attacks have you had? Too many to count. Have you died yet? No. Then you're fine, mate. Instead of thinking of that you're gonna die, let's work out ways of, once you have this panic or these thoughts, let's work out how we're gonna move forward and get out of that, as opposed to I can't move forward. So I think he taught me a lot about myself, taught me a lot about who I was as a kid growing up. He really brought it into perspective that, panic attacks don't mean you're going to die. Mm-hmm. You might replicate all those feelings, but it's not. And you've had about 100 of them and nothing's happened to you. You've checked all your health. You've done every test under the sun. You're fine. So let's work out a way to get you through this, Let's check your blood work, for example. Let's see what you're deficient in vitamin-wise, not just, are you healthy, It turned out I needed to be taking certain vitamins to kind of help me balance. And he was against pills as well. He didn't believe in that either. But, I started taking magnesium, zinc, vitamin B6, a bunch of vitamins that I didn't know I was deficient in.
Yeah, okay.
And that started to help along with the sessions. Mm-hmm. And then, about 2 years, I think I saw him for about 2 years straight. And then over time, I just learnt to understand the panic, So when it happens, I don't kind of let go and let it take a hold of me. I was able to kind of all right, I'm in a situation, I'm panicking. I got to remove myself from this situation right now for the next hour, half an hour, whatever it is, so I can get out of this mindset, So what would start to happen is I'd feel the panic come on, and if I was at work or wherever I was, I'd remove myself. I'd go sit down for about half an hour, and I'd just remind myself, just breathe, man, just breathe. This has happened 100 times before. Nothing's gonna happen to you, Just breathe, and then I'll get through it, and it would pass. I'm like, okay, the first time it worked, second time it worked, third time it worked, and that sort of triggers something in your brain. The mind's a powerful thing, man. It starts to trigger something in your brain, okay, I can see the light now. Am I ever gonna get over this completely? Probably not. I learned that I was naturally an anxious person, but you're learning how to deal with it. That coupled with I needed to keep myself busy. So I think it wasn't just the stresses of financial that led to it. I think because that first year, 18 months of business, it wasn't busy.
So you're sitting in an empty store.
I'm sitting in an empty store.
Feeling like you're not achieving
pretty
anything.
Much talking to myself, feeling like I'm not achieving anything. That coupled with financial stresses, takes a toll on the mind, So once I learned how to grasp it and deal with that feeling, it was like, okay, now I need to be busy, man. And it was in that period that, that I got rid of that business and jumped into the business that I'm in now. And that took off. I've got a business partner, and, he essentially was my mentor from a business perspective and life perspective too. He was older than me. He's been in the game for a lot longer than I was. He's been doing it X amount of years. So he was really able to mentor me. But himself, he had never experienced anyone with anxiety.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So I remember the first time we went to Darwin together. We jumped on the plane to fly back. And just before the plane took off, it was like, oh, there's an issue with the plane. Everyone has to get off the plane. And I went into this panic, and he was looking at me like, dude, what's going on? He knew I had anxiety, but never experienced one of my panic attacks, But the panic was more like, I want to get home.
Yeah.
I want to get home to my kids, I don't want to be here for another day. I want to get home. And that really opened it up for him too. But it was just the fact that, I was able to control it. I was able to understand it, I'd say, more so. That coupled with being busy, I realized that my mind needs to be busy. I can't, even now, where I'm at a point now where I'm relaxed, and my mind still has to be busy. And if I go through a phase, if I go through like a month or 2 months where I feel like nothing's progressing, I start to get anxious again. I start to have some doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Like, where am I going? And my wife looks at me like, dude, like, what's wrong with you? Like, look what you built. Like, you should be proud of yourself. You should take a step back. I can't. Like, I have to be busy. I have to be doing something.
And it's not coming from a place of I want more.
No.
Is it?
Not at all. No, it's not. I mean, we'd all love more, obviously. More so for my kids now to set them up. But it doesn't come from that. It's I have to be busy.
It's like it's a purposeful thing.
It's
like,
a purpose.
you need to be working towards
I need
something.
to feel like I have a purpose all the time, I just don't understand people that hit their 30s or 40s and they're in a financial position where they can step back and they decide to step back. I can't do that, I have to be doing something. I have to be busy. I have to be doing multiple things at once. I need multiple projects at once, It's just the way I'm wired.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. Like, if I have a slow week, I'm like, fuck, am I actually achieving something this week?
Right? You start to question your purpose, it's...
And I feel like that's where a lot of men go wrong, and we speak about mental health and suicide rates. A big part of that is men not having a purpose.
That's right.
So they're like, oh, what do I do with my life now?
Yeah, look, the system, I feel like the system isn't designed correctly. I mean, you leave school, you're 17, 18 years old. How are you supposed to decide at that age what you're going to do with your life? You know what I mean? You're 17, you're 18, you have no life experience. You've convinced yourself, I want to be an architect, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a doctor, or because that's what society tells you have to be successful. And then you go through it, and then you hit your 20s or your 30s, and you realize, holy shit, that's not what I want to do. I have no purpose. I don't feel fulfilled, I'm not happy. And that can then stem to anxiety and depression and listen, there's the whole stigma around men having depression and anxiety and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't make it easier. I just feel like the system isn't designed properly, man. I just feel like it's impossible to know what you want to do at such a young age, at 18 years old. It's crazy that you're supposed to know what you want to do for the rest of your life, for the next 50, 60 years. And I think that in itself puts a lot of pressure on people from a young age.
You being a dad to a little boy now, I know he's long off being 17, 18-year-old, but when he hits that age, what advice do you feel like you can give to him?
I want him to experience life, man. I want him... I have there isn't any part of me that feels like I'm going to, push him into anything, or you should do this for a career, or, I know a lot of people say it now, but it's just from experience, I want him to experience life, man. If he wants to be an athlete, let's go. If he, I love the Formula 1, for example. I'd love for him to drive cars, If he wants to drive cars, so be it. If he wants to take over the business, so be it. If he wants to be a doctor, I'll support you, But I really want him to experience life first, I really want him to experience life. And I hope I'm able to allow him to experience life at a younger age by bringing him along with me and taking him, showing him the ins and outs of business, So once he gets to that age of 17, 18, 19, 20, he can decide, do I want to run a business? Do I want to go to university? Do I want to play a sport? Have I been playing sport all my life and I'm good at it? Do I want to make this? Whatever he does, I want to support him, man. I'm not going to push him into anything. Unless he's obviously doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I really want him to experience life and make decisions for himself, man. I feel like boys in general, boys can make something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not to say females can't either. But I only go off my own experiences, you know? So I really want him to experience life and decide what he wants to do for the rest of his life and support him.
Yeah, no, I feel like as men, as fathers, as business owners, it's our job to create that foundation and give our kids the opportunity to explore all these different areas.
Yeah.
You know, they could be a barber or they could be your content creator. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different avenues they can go down, but we have to give them the opportunity to explore that so that when the time comes, they go, oh, I want to go down that direction.
Yeah, and I guess that comes back to us, right? Like, obviously, like our parents, it's a generational thing, you know. My grandparents only did so well. My father, now he does well. But, I mean, all those years growing up, even when I went to university, when I started university, it still wasn't, we still weren't financially set. So for my dad, it's like, no, you got to get a real job, you got to go to university, you know. But then, like, now my gen, you know, what we've done, I want to be able to build that platform so my son doesn't have to worry about, you know, like, you know, I have to make ends meet. I have to go to university. I have to get, you know, I want him to be able to explore who he is and figure out what he wants to do for the rest of his life.
Go travel the world.
Travel the world, man. Go race a car. Go skydiving. Do it, you know, decide who you are, figure out who you are, and then decide what you want to do with your life, you know. I just don't understand how we're supposed to know at 17 years old what we're supposed to do for the rest of our lives. I don't. But it's not no one's fault, you know. It's society. It's the generations before us and how we were brought up. And I always say people only know what they know, you know. And you can't judge people. You can't get angry at people. People know what they know, you know. They are who they are.
And I feel like we're in an interesting point now in society where we are shifting and we are giving our kids a lot more opportunities and we are building businesses and opening our eyes to there's so much more out there than going to a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. You can create so much with your life. Yeah,
look, I think we're in the age now where like we're lucky to have the internet and social media and you can start any business and make it successful but I mean the amount of work you put in hasn't changed. You still got to work really hard. But I feel like there's a lot more opportunity where we didn't have that. You know, we didn't have social media growing up. Well, I didn't, you know, have social media growing up.
It only started coming in when I was...
I think Facebook really became a thing when I finished high school.
Remember Bebo?
Oh, yeah, see what I mean? Like Bebo and MySpace, and that all started to become a thing after I'd finished high school, you know? I mean, in hindsight, I wish I could go back and become a full-time content creator, right? Yeah. Like, you know, like look at the guys across the world that have done great, but we didn't. But that all comes back to your environment.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I had told my dad, hey, man, I'm going to make videos, put them on the internet, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Whereas my son wants to be a content creator as he gets older, and I see like there's value in it. Go for it, bro.
I feel like it's going to be the done thing now. Every kid's going to want to be a content creator. They are now, essentially.
They are. Go for it. You know, if you feel like you can make, I'll guide you. I'll be your manager, like whatever it is. You know, I just don't want them to be doing anything to please me.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a big thing, and I can relate to that because myself growing up, I did a lot of things to try and make my dad proud. And as you said, as kids, you want to make your parents proud, but you don't want to make your parents proud at the expense of your own happiness and fulfillment. And it's a hard conversation to have with your parents. And I know you had that when you're like, I want to go be a barber. I don't want to be a banker, you know? Yeah. And for me, my dad knows I don't want to do air conditioning because it's a family business. So he's like, right. I want my sons to take over the business.
Take over the business.
And
that's every father's dream.
Yeah. Man. That's been the hardest thing for me because if I was working for some other company and family wasn't involved, I would have left a long time ago. But because it's family, it's like that's the connection. I've always been a part of it, but that's not, I know within me, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. Yeah. So for me, it's like slowly pulling back, but he's now starting to see what I'm building and we're having a bit more conversations about it. He's asking from time to time, oh, how's it going? How's the business going? So he's now seeing that. And I feel like he's starting to understand and respect what I'm building, which makes me happy because there was a period where I was very much so in my head and down. And it hurt my self-belief in what I was building
Yeah.
because, it's not what my dad wants me to do.
Yeah.
And it really knocks you down.
And I think a lot of young men go through that. You know what I mean? It's really hard to break out of that. You know, because as I said at the start, we all want to make our parents proud. You know, and you feel like they've worked their ass off to build something, and they're building it because they want you to take over.
It's like that responsibility that they've put onto you. And it's like, I don't really want this responsibility.
Like, I mean, I respect it. I respect it, but I mean, I don't want to do air conditioning. You know, I don't want to be a barber. If my son tells me I don't want to be a barber, like, you know. But yeah, it's we really got to give our kids the platform to be able to decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
I feel like we the generations before us lost out on that, and we're at a time now in the world, in society, modern day, where the kids can, you know, figure out who they are and decide what they want to do. Starting with our gen and our kids, you know, I think it's very important.
It is, and it's not knocking down our parents, as you said.
Not at all.
They know what they know.
They know what they know. You know, I don't blame them. I mean, you come from a war-torn country. You know, no one's got money. Everyone's struggling to get by. I mean, they used to. I mean, both my dad's family and my mum's family used to grow tobacco. In the villages and sell tobacco. You know, that's what they did. There wasn't much money in it, but that's all they, because my parents are from the villages, you know, which are still villages today. You know, so they come here for a better life.
Have you been back there?
Look, I haven't been to Lebanon since 2005.
Yeah,
it's been almost 20 years. Yeah, I mean, you know, growing up in Australia, you know, we looked at like different people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like being Lebanese. And unfortunately, because of, you know, the Cronulla riots and everything we went through, and I was all peak teenager during those years, you know? So I was in the midst of it all. It got to a point where it's like you didn't want to be Lebanese. You know, as bad as it is to say it, you know, you felt like it was wrong. Like, I can't tell people I'm Lebanese, you know? My name's not Bilal, it's Bill.
Man.
You know what I mean? It's because you were scared that you'd get jumped. You know? You were scared to face the racism because you didn't want to. And that mindset kind of like changes your path a bit. You know, so when it is a time for you to go on a holiday, I'm going to go to the US. You know what I mean? I went to the US twice.
Yeah.
When I could have gone to Lebanon and visited where I came from and the heritage and, you know, and the history and but yeah, I haven't been since I was 15, man, and I regret it. You know, I was supposed to go this year until everything, you know, the war broke out in the Middle East. But if I could go back, man, and this is what I want my kids to experience. This is why I send my kids to Islamic school and Arabic school. I want them to be proud of who they are. You know, it's a modern world now. You know, the internet opened everyone's eyes. Social media opened up everyone's eyes. You know, whereas back in my day, you only saw what you saw on the media. You know, 7 news, 9 news, 10 news. Arabs are bad. Muslims are bad. Muslims are terrorists. September 11, Muslims are terrorists. All Muslims are terrorists. You know, that's what I had to live with growing up.
And the thing is, every Arab got labelled that, and not every Arab is Muslim.
All of us. I was 11 years old when September 11 happened. You know, imagine being 11 years old and scared to say you're Muslim because you're a terrorist. You know. But now we're in a world where you don't just believe what you see on the news because you got social media. You actually see videos and content of what's really happening in wherever it is, you know. So now I'm proud to say I'm Muslim. You know, I'm very proud, you know. I'm proud to say I'm Lebanese Muslim, you know. And I want my kids to be proud of who they are, you know. I know they're second generation Aussies now, but they need to know their history. They need to be proud that they're Muslim. They need to be proud that they have a Lebanese background, you know. I don't want them to grow up thinking they're Australian. I want them to be proud that they're Australian, and they are Australian, but they're not just Australian.
Yeah.
You know? They're Lebanese Muslim.
Getting back to their roots.
You know?
That's a big thing on my bucket list, is to go to Lebanon and actually learn about...
Have you been?
No.
You've never been to Lebanon?
And I've never been connected with the Lebanese side of my family. So I have no connection there.
Right, yeah.
And for me, I want to learn about it. I want to connect.
Yeah.
And I've seen videos and photos. Lebanon is such a beautiful country.
Oh, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. Like, for where it is in the world...
Yeah, you think the Middle East is the desert, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we border a couple of countries that have desert, you know? It's an amazing, amazing place. unfortunately, it's, you know, the system there and the politicians and the way it is.
Yeah.
It's never been able to break free and thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, anyway. I hope our generation and our kids' generations are able to one day go back and help rebuild the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what it's going to take to rebuild Lebanon is proud Lebanese people that aren't from Lebanon, that know about the history, to one day all band together and decide, okay, this country needs to be rebuilt. You know, whether it's in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years from now, you know, it will get rebuilt, you know.
I hope
There's too many of us outside of Lebanon now too that love Lebanon, that don't want to that want to see it thrive.
That's it. And no matter the faith, whether you're Christian or Muslim, like it's.
If you go to Lebanon, everyone's together. You know, there are Christian villages that border Muslim villages, you know, and they're all friends.
Yeah.
You know, the whole you're Muslim, I'm Christian, it doesn't exist. To an extent, it does, I guess, but not as much as here.
Yeah.
Not as much as the Western world. You know, there's still that level of respect in most parts of Lebanon. But when you're in the West, man, as we said, people only know what they know, man.
That's it.
Australians and Western society, the media has been feeding it down their throats for the last 20 years, you know. Arab bad, Muslim bad.
Yeah, well, through the power of social media, when used in good ways, and through conversations like this where we can openly speak about faith and where we come from and our heritage and our mindset and everything like that, I feel like we can really start to open people's eyes and realize what the media portrays is not correct.
I mean, look at today. Look at the world today. Who would have thought that the Middle East would become, you know, what it is today? I mean, you look at Dubai, you look at Abu Dhabi, UAE, you look at what Saudi Arabia is trying to do now. You know what I mean? They've stepped their game up. Like, we're no longer looked at as desert Arabs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was all we were looked at when I was growing up. And I love it, man. I love the fact that the Middle East has its place in the world now, you know, and it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get stronger. They're only going to keep building. I feel like there's a shift happening now in the world, you know, where before it was just Western society and then the rest of the world. Whereas now, you know, you got the Arab world starting to rise in a good way, you know, not in a negative way, in a good way. They're starting to build for themselves. And I love that, man. I'm proud to say I'm Arab. But look what they're doing over there. Have you been to Dubai?
No, I want to.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you just can't grasp it until you're standing in front of the Burj Khalifa and seeing it in real life.
Yeah.
It's crazy what they've done in such a small area in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And there's still parts of Dubai where you look to the left and it's desert, but you look to the right and it's whoa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who would have thought 20 years ago that the Middle East would rise up? So
yeah, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, so I'm really proud to be an Arab Muslim.
I can feel it, bro. And at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters, man. We should be helping each other.
Man, I've got Christian friends, I've got Catholic friends, I've got Jewish friends. You know what I mean? I've always been, you know, that type of person. I don't segregate or anything. Like, people are people, humans are humans. And as long as you're a good person,
that's it.
I'm happy to be your friend. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, not everyone's like that. But that's how I am, man. Like, I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care what your religion is. You know, if we respect each other, that's all we need, man.
Yeah, no, I respect that, because there is a lot of religious people out there that condemn everyone else. You know, if you're not Muslim, if you're not Christian, you know, you're nothing.
Yeah,
and it's not like that.
Like, why not educate each other? You know what I mean?
And
like
what I said before, like, and you know this, it's all connected.
Yeah,
right?
It's all connected. We all come from this, you know, the same origins. You know, like let's not let the media and society segregate us. We should all be banding together, man. We should all be, you know, everyone should live happily together. Yeah, as I said, it doesn't bother me where you're from or what your background is. If you're a good person, you got a good heart, I'm happy to be your friend. You know, I'm happy to build with you, even whatever it is.
Yeah. What role has faith played in the man that you are today?
Oh, massive, yeah. Especially post kids and anxiety and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I've been praying since I was 14.
Yep.
Pretty much my whole life. Fasting since I was in primary school. You know, so it's always been instilled in me from a young age. But it wasn't until I got older that I really started to understand the faith and the religion. And I just feel like if you're close to religion, if you're close to God, if you're close to your faith, you know, it keeps you grounded. You know, it keeps you humble, keeps you grateful. It allows you to be a good person, you know, because our religion teaches us to be good to everybody, you know, do no harm to anyone, you know, contrary to everyone's belief, you know. We're very big on do no harm to anyone, don't wrong anyone, you know. If someone wrongs you, you forgive them, you don't wrong them back, you know. And it really allowed me to have a sense of peace and faith, and I love it, man. I love it.
During that tough time that you went through, did you lose faith at all, or did you draw strength from faith?
No, I wouldn't say I lost faith at all. I went through a period where I questioned, why me? Why is this happening to me? But that's wrong. You know, we should never think that. Like, but then it drew me closer to religion, you know, because I wanted to find that peace in myself. You know, everyone around me started saying you should try and get closer to your religion. I did what I had to do, the praying, the fasting, but I wasn't, you know, like I wasn't in there. And it brought me closer to the religion. It brought me peace. It allowed me to start to understand why we're here, why we're on this planet. It allowed me to really break it all down. And at the end of the day, right now, the mentality I have in today is whatever happens is God's will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen.
Our past written.
You know, I firmly believe that our whole life has already been written, you know? So you should never question why me, or you should never question your faith, or you should never question like anything when it comes to faith, you know? Like for me, it's our everything's been written. That's not to say that, like, I want to get back. A lot of people, they take that in the wrong way. Like, our path's already written, you know? That doesn't mean sit at home on your ass and success is going to come to you. Or, you know, God tells you, you know, you take that step, I'll take that step with you. You know? That's how it is. Like, your future's written. It's there for you.
If you go off the path, he'll put you back on it.
If you want it, right? If you want the path, if you want what you want, it's there written for you. But you have to go out and get it, you know? I gave you life. I gave you kids. I gave you the business. I gave you everything. I've given you the platform. You have to go make that success now. You don't just sit at home and say, oh, God, why aren't you raining money down on me? You know, it's not how it works. Or why am I sick? Or whatever it is, you know, it's. I feel like our path's already written, but at the same time, it's up to us to actually go out there and work for it and get whatever it is that we're after.
Yeah, and there's going to be challenges that are thrown our way, and
God tests us in many ways.
Yeah,
you know, whether it's financially, whether it's health, whether it's with your kids, you know, everyone is going to have some sort of test, you know, at some point. And the tests are obviously, they're designed to bring you closer to the faith. That's what the tests are for, right? But sometimes it has the opposite effect. And that's why we get tested at the end of the day. Like us as Muslims, we believe that our whole life, everything was created as a test. So, you know, when the day of judgment comes and when it's all said and done, we get judged. You know, did you do the right thing? Did you not do the right thing? You know, it's a test. And when you remind yourself that this is all a test, it really gives you a sense of peace. Why am I angry? Like, why am I down? Why am I chasing something that means nothing? You know, this is just a test. So it's really important, I feel, to try and get close to faith and understand it and instill it in your children and just it grounds you and it gives you that sense of humbleness and gratefulness all the time, you know. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, all the time. That's what we say. No matter what happens, you know, bad thing happens, alhamdulillah, you know. Good thing happens, thank you God, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
You know, that's just how it is. That's that one with me anyway.
And I think it's also understanding. They say be careful for what you pray for, right? And I'm assuming during when you first started your first business, you wanted to be successful. And you're like, I want to be successful. Yeah. But you had to go through that test to come out the other side.
That's right.
God's going to give you your answer, but not always in the way that you want it.
Yeah. My wife says it all the time. She says to me, if God had given you that success in the first business that you ever opened, you'd be a completely different person today. You'd be cocky. You'd be arrogant. You'd think you were the shit. No? God put you through what he put you through to bring you back down to earth and humble you from the start So when you are able to rebuild, you have that gratefulness and humbleness inside. So she always says that to me, like you should be thankful that God put you through all the struggle at the start. And I believe that, man. I believe that because I look back at to who I was when I was 23 years old, 24 years old. We all have a bit of ego. We all have a bit of, and if God gives you everything when you're going through that part of your life where you have that ego in you, man, He can break you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife firmly, and I firmly believe that now. God put me through the tests I got put through to keep me grateful and humble in today.
That's it. But God's always going to be in your corner.
Definitely.
Well. Yeah. And I speak about this quite frequently, that a lot of men feel like the world's on their shoulders and they have to do everything themselves. And it's not to say that you don't have to put in the work, but understanding that when adversity does hit, it's God giving you a challenge, but God's in your corner. 100%. He's guiding you through that challenge. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
100%. 100%. You know, God will not put you on a path if He doesn't know that you can't get through it or you can't achieve it. Firmly believe that. God's not going to give you anything or put you through anything that you can't handle, you know? And I get goosebumps when I talk about it, you know?
And this is all new for me because I'm on a journey right now of about 6 months ago. I really started to question, like, why are we on this earth? Like, surely there's a higher power. There's something bigger than us. And I never grew up religious at all. My family was like Christian, and so like I knew bits and pieces. But for me, it's like I wanted to understand, and not just from a Christian point of view, like understand different faiths and understanding that they are now all connected. Yeah, and it really has opened my eyes up to this world. And I feel like if we all have a connection to God, whoever that God is for you, but if you have Him in your corner, it's going to make life so much, I wouldn't say easier, but like you're going to be at a peace of mind knowing that God's there for you.
You're going to be at peace, man. You're going to be at peace. You know, you're not going to be as stressed when things don't go the way they're going to go, right? You're going to, if you have that belief in you, like nothing's worth stressing about, man. It's God's in my corner, as you said. But yeah, like how's it all? How's that spirituality path been going for you? Do you feel like you've gotten closer to God, or?
I wouldn't say I'm a religious person. I'm a spiritual person.
Spiritual person, yeah.
I believe there's God, and I pray to God. I don't know who He is, but I just say God. And I've started, there was like a documentary on Netflix around like Moses, and I started to watch that, and I'm diving into all these different areas and having conversations with, Ahmed Harachi's Muslim faith, yourself, you're Muslim.
Yeah, he's a brother,
Yeah, so having these different conversations around faith, around religion is really opening my eyes to it all. And for me now, it's just building a personal relationship with the man upstairs.
Yeah.
So it's been beautiful.
It's awesome. It's good to hear, man. I love hearing it. I love hearing people getting closer to God, you know. I feel like without God, we have nothing. You know, we need God. He's our sustenance. He's everything, you know. So, yeah.
He's really helped me, especially, through this journey of building a business and being a dad. And, I'm like in this weird phase of like still working, but building, and then focusing on being a dad, being a partner.
Yeah. Sorry, you continue.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like coming back to what we said before, like our path is written, so don't stress about the stupid things.
Yeah.
But understanding like God is going to give you those challenges, and He wouldn't give them to you if you couldn't handle them.
Have you ever had a challenge that you weren't able to get through? Like, I mean, I just feel like when we're going through certain issues or challenges and we feel like there's no way out, if you look back 5 years where you are now and where you were then, and everything always kind of works out the way it's supposed to work out.
And even if you have to take a step back,
it all works out.
Yeah, you go forward again.
Everything works out, you know? That's what I mean. Like, God's not going to put you on a path or give you a challenge that He knows you can't handle. Because when you're going through it, it's hard to understand. But once you're through and you look back 5 years, I remember 5 years ago when I went through that struggle and I thought there was no way out, you know? Look where we are now, you know? Everything always works out.
100%.
Apart from health issues or whatnot, but other than that, everything always works out, you know?
I'm thinking about it now, like 5 years. So 5 years ago, I started this podcast, right? And prior to starting the podcast...
Look where we are now. How many episodes have you done now?
About to hit 300, or maybe over 300. I don't know. I've lost count. But I struggled a lot with anxiety myself.
Yep.
to the point where I would make myself physically sick,
Yeah.
like vomiting because I didn't want to
Yeah.
go out and be in society and be in new environments. And I had to create all these different scenarios. I couldn't conversate with people because I just like shaking and shit. I really struggled, and I let anxiety take control of my life.
Yeah.
And now I can walk into a studio and have a conversation.
Right.
God gave me that challenge of dealing with anxiety and learning to understand it and build a relationship with it, so then I can use it to my advantage to now be the person that I am today.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be here if I didn't go through that.
It's awesome, man. It's beautiful.
And there's so many lessons within our challenges.
It's always when we look back, we realize, oh, holy shit! Like, there's never been anything that I wasn't able to get through. You know, even at the time when you thought it was all crumbling down around you, a year from that day, you're through. Everything's normal. Everything's fine. Everything's, you know, everything has to come back to faith, man. Definitely.
I want to ask you this question because coming back to anxiety and you having panic attacks, the big fear was around death, right?
Yeah.
What's your relationship with death?
Now?
Yeah.
Now I'm of the mentality of if I die, I die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the point I'm at now. Like, because I was able to, you know, if I die, I die. You know, if I die, it was written that I was gonna die today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God will, you know, I'd like to think that I've built the foundations and whatnot so that my family will be fine. But from personally, if I die, I die, man. Like it is what it is. That's what God wrote. That's the life I was gonna lead. That's the time I had on this earth. You know, I have the faith in God now that I don't fear it anymore. You know, it is what it is. It's a very powerful feeling when you can say that. You know, I just hope I don't have to go through any health struggles or anything. Knock on wood. But like, if you die, you die, man.
That's it. And having that mindset of like it could happen at any time, it really makes you think or put life in a perspective of what's truly important to me. Because it could be taken away in a clip.
Man. Like going back to anxiety, like my wife laughs at this. She says to me, "Oh, you're nuts. You're crazy." I never think too far ahead. You know, like I don't envision my grandkids. You know what I mean? I don't think about where I'm going to be when I'm 60 years old, 70 years old, because part of me doesn't know if I'm ever going to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wife thinks that's it's not a healthy way of thinking, but I just feel like it keeps me grounded, man. You know, it keeps me grateful, keeps me humble, keeps me living in the present and enjoying. Like there are times where I kiss my kids goodnight, and in the back of my head, it's like this could be the last time I kiss them. You know, I could not wake up tomorrow, so I really wanna hug my daughter. You know, and I think that's a good thing. You know, I think that's a powerful thing. You know,
it is. Because I was just about to ask, we speak about our path being written for us, but what do you feel like is going to come up next on your path? Do you plan ahead in business or?
Look, I try to plan ahead. I have goals and visions and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I like to take it as it comes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What my goals are might not be where I end up. If that's not the path that God wants me to lead, then, you know. But I take it as it comes now. You know what I mean? If I'm grateful enough to be in a position where if the right opportunity comes along, I can jump on it.
Yeah.
As opposed to I have to be out there and still trying to make ends meet and all that sort of stuff. So I'm grateful I'm in that position. So just take it as it comes, man. Like whatever, but anything that I take on, it's 110%. It's I'm all in.
Yeah.
I don't half-ass anything. I can't. It's just not in me.
Nah. Well, it's been a amazing conversation, man. And I seen a quote on your page around life is like a Ferris wheel, and sometimes you have to get off and appreciate the grind. And I feel that sums up this conversation today. Yeah. We've been able to take a step off the Ferris wheel and just really appreciate and reflect on our lives and what we've gone through and dive into faith, which is a big part of both our life now. So, man, I've really enjoyed this.
Me too, man. It's been great. It's been really enjoyable. Thanks for having me.
We have a closing tradition where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest without knowing who it is. So the question for you is, what are 3 things you are grateful for today and why?
First and foremost, my faith. my children, and my children and family, like my family, my wife, my kids, my parents, and all that. And my mindset, you know, I'd say my mindset. You know, all those three together have allowed me to become the person I am today. You know, so I'd say that's what it is.
Man, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you.